So in good formal style, I would first of all like to thank Sri Parashuram Das Prabhu for inviting me here. And then you all clap. This is the proper British way of doing things. And actually, yes, I would like to. I mean, not just saying that, but Jai Parashuram Prabhu for keeping the preaching spirit very much alive in a unique manner, somehow managing to avoid, at least looks like that, trying to avoid most of the pitfalls that religious institutions usually fall into by keeping the spirit of preaching Krishna consciousness as it, just that's all he does in his life, apart from a little security guard here and there to earn a little money, because he doesn't want to take any money from the that which is collected for the service of Krishna. So, thank you very much for this, as I say, unique, somewhat avant-garde style, we could say, of preaching Krishna consciousness and reaching outreach program. There are many different kinds of devotees. I was this morning with Rancho Prabhu. Those of you who are old-time London devotees must surely know Rancho Prabhu. So he's a very sophisticated and I'm not saying that in a critical way, but he's a very sophisticated person and very wonderful devotee and very old friend of mine. We were together on the streets of Dublin for a few months together, sometime in the 1970s. So his approach is quite different. He's writing books meant for distribution to the, I guess you could say, mainstream society, to inject Krishna consciousness in that way. One of Srila Prabhupada's many gifts is his ability to present Krishna consciousness to all kinds of people. Srila Prabhupada was able to mix with scholars and hippies and Indian villagers and the Prime Minister of India, the President of India. He mixed with all different kinds of people and was able to deliver Krishna consciousness to them and to encourage those who took up the message he brought to practice and spread Krishna consciousness among various types of people. Srila Prabhupada set up the Bhaktivedanta Institute. He had his book distribution program going in the Western countries, and even in those days, preaching in India and preaching in the West was quite a different proposition. And he inspired very different types of people to practice and spread Krishna consciousness. We can't, people come with their previous culture and attitudes to life, and Srila Prabhupada directed that toward Krishna. But he also recognized that people do have different outlooks. When some, I don't know what the politically correct term is nowadays, black-skinned devotees, I think they call them in America, African-Americans, something. Anyway, I don't care that much about being politically correct. Some black-skinned devotees, they wanted to start a separate center in the same city. Prabhupada approved of that, because he said, well, they have a different culture. They can preach among their own people, as long as they follow the same principles. So, seeing the diversity in our ISKCON society at the present time, I'm thinking, well, maybe that's a good idea. We should have lots of different centers in big cities like this, and Different devotees can preach in different styles, focusing on different areas of preaching. It's a big world, there's a lot of preaching to do. Anyway, thank you very much, Parashuram Prabhu, for your contribution to practicing and spreading Krishna consciousness. It's probably have the some of the least stereotyped and most interesting lives of Krishna conscious preachers. Made a niche for yourself. Yeah, Krishna consciousness requires to be spread so widely. Everyone needs Krishna consciousness. Achaitanyam idam vishvam. Prabodhananda Saraswati has said this. The word achaitanya means without chaitanya. So this has two meanings. It means that this world is without Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. People, they don't know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Another meaning is that people are practically unconscious. So that's the situation in the world. People are not Krishna conscious, which means like being unconscious. We're conscious, but yeah, conscious, but of the wrong things and in the wrong way. It's just like under the influence of morphine, so we're told. I never experienced that personally in this lifetime. One enters a state in which it's sleep, but with vivid dreams. And we all know that the experience of a dream, it's real, isn't it? In the dream, as far as we're concerned, it's real, and it's usually a more intense experience than the waking experiences we have. And it seems real, but then when we wake up, we find that, well, it was just a dream. So the whole of material life is like that. It's just like a dream. We think it to be real, but it's not really real in the realist sense of the term, because it's not connected to Krishna. And we think the dream is unreal. At the time we're experiencing it, seems very real, but then when we wake up we think, well, it's just a dream, and we forget about it, because it was just a dream. And why don't we take it seriously? Because it's just finished, and then it has no relevance to our ongoing life. And dreams they're usually absurd, aren't they? They're not usually. It's not that you're just doing the normal things that you always do. Usually, it's all mixed up, kind of absurd, all kind of weird things. So we don't take it seriously because it's so wacko or strange is one reason. Another reason is it's just come and it's gone, and we have to get on with our real life as it is. We can't sit around all day thinking that, well, in my dream I was sitting on a throne and giving orders, and then all the people around me turned into frogs, and what does it all mean? We have to get up and get out and get to work or whatever we're doing. No time to sit around and think about that. But what we consider real, that's also temporary. We consider the body I'm in, this is my actual identity, but that's what we consider in the dream also. Whatever form we have, we consider it to be real. Then we wake up, we know, well, that's not really real, and so we forget about it. So, but the identity that we have at the present time, Mr. John Smith, born in St. Pancras Hospital, is there such a thing?
Yeah.
I thought there was, yeah. Let's see. My memory of London lives on after all these years. They didn't demolish it yet. Must be an old hospital. Sounds something Victorian or something. Anyway, born in... Do they have, what do they call that? A maternity ward? You don't know that much. Alright, so born in St. Pancras Hospital on January the 19th, 1972. This is my identity. Citizen of Britain and proud of it. true Londoner, to the bones. So, we may identify with ourselves like this, or in a similar way, and this is real, it seems real. Because, every morning I wake up, forget my dreams, and get up, brush my teeth, turn on the TV, and go off to work. Take the dog for a walk, maybe. And I go off to work, and I come back, and I go to sleep at night, I have a few dreams, and I wake up, and every morning I wake up, I'm still John Smith. The same John Smith. So this is real, because the dream stops, even though it seems real, but every morning I wake up and I'm John Smith. I don't turn into a big insect, like that Kafka had some idea. It's the same John Smith. I'm John Smith, the same John Smith I was, I am, I was, I am, and I will be. Mr. John Smith. But, surprisingly enough, there comes a day when Mr. John Smith dies. Oh, that sounds very... What am I going to say that for? It's not very nice to talk about that, is it? It was a nice story so far. And all of a sudden brought in this dies. What about they happily lived ever after? We could have ended it like that. But, as we should know, in this world, no one lives happily ever after. It's only in fairy stories that people live happily ever after. And in real life, Mr. John Smith has a birth certificate and a death certificate also. Maybe a few marriage certificates in between. So, Mr. John Smith, one day he goes to sleep and has a dream, and he doesn't wake up. He passes away in his sleep. We'll make it a peaceful ending for John Smith. As we're spinning this fictional story, he died peacefully in his sleep without any complications. Okay, so a peaceful ending to John Smith. But it's not an ending, because all of a sudden he finds out that, well, I'm not really John Smith after all. I'm somewhere else, and John Smith, that body, hey, what are you doing? You put it in a box and you're putting it in a fire. Wait a minute, that's me. It's not you, sir. It's not you. You have to go somewhere else. And then Mr. John Smith, or who was thinking he's John Smith, all of a sudden becomes the puppy of the dog he was taking for a walk. Possibly. He doesn't have any remembrance of his previous John Smith-like existence. So just like one dreams different dreams at night, and they're not related to each other, but in each dream one thinks that they are real. So in the same way, we have different lives which we think are real, but we think they're real just like we think in a dream they're real. And we say the dream is unreal because it's just a short time. But the whole life, Mr. John Smith lived a good 70 years. Then he died. And what happened is, the dream he has at night, there was short dreams, and the existence as Mr. John Smith or whatever, it's an extended dream. We can say it's just like a dream because it's longer, that's all. It's a longer dream, but it has the same characteristic of a dream of being experienced as real, but temporary. And then when it's over, there's no apparent relationship between the dream you have one night and the dream you have the next night. So when Mr. John Smith takes birth as a little puppy dog, he doesn't have any memory of being John Smith. And then as the puppy dog thinks this is real. For the puppy dog, the most important thing is the teats of his mother. That's where the food comes from. You get the milk from there. Then when the dog becomes a little older, then there's other dogs to contend with and gets an owner, gets sold to an owner, and then identifies himself, this is my owner, this is my owner's house, and anyone who comes, I bark at them. And in this way, that he takes on another dream. He thinks it's real. This is material existence. That's why Krishna consciousness requires to be preached. Bhagavad Gita as it is. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumarang yovanang jara tata dehantara praptiya dhiras tatra namuhyati. As the body changes, one has a young body, child body, then a youth body, then an adult body, and then a dead body. But one who is dhira, one who is sober, is not disturbed by these changes, not disturbed even at the time of death. Prayana kale chakatam geyosi niyatatma vihi. Arjuna asks Krishna, how can one think of you even at the time of death? For because by thinking of Krishna at the time of death, we don't get another temporary false body, but we get our real body, the actual waking up, and actually attaining our real form. So the value of the human life is the ability to, or the opportunity to start waking up from this dreamlike state. Just like in a dream, sometimes you hear someone calling, hey John, time to get up. It's 6:30, time to get up, go to work. You hear that in the dream, and it mixes up with the dream, and then you gradually wake up and you see it's your wife calling you. And then the dreamlike images fade away, and then you're back to the apparent reality of lying in bed, and it's time to get up, and Mrs. Smith is calling you, as she does every morning, time to get up. But even in the dream, if the sound from outside the dream, from the apparent reality of day-to-day life, that sound can enter, and in the dream it kind of gets mixed up, but then as you gradually wake up, then you gradually perceive that, and even in the dream you start to realize that, now it's time to wake up, and then you wake up, and then you're woken up, and the dream is forgotten. So in the same way, in the human form of life, we are blessed with the opportunity to be able to hear spiritual sounds from the world of actual reality that can wake us up. We can start to hear about our real identity and about Krishna, who's in relation to whom our real identity is. Our relationship is not with our pet dog, or with our wife, or with this body, but our relationship is with Krishna. And we can hear, if we hear the spiritual sounds, they can pierce through the coverings of our dreamlike illusion, and we can start to wake up and realize that actually I am the servant of Krishna. And even in this lifetime, if one becomes fixed in this knowledge, then although he's apparently living within this world, within this dream, he's not part of that. He's living in the spiritual world because of his connection with the spiritual world, by conviction that this body is not me. When one realizes that I'm not the body, and the body is temporary, but it's not me, I'm a servant of Krishna. When one becomes fixed in that knowledge by hearing about Krishna, and then chanting about Krishna, and serving Krishna, then Krishna blesses the devotee with the realization that I have nothing to do with this world. I belong to Krishna. So that is the difference between a dreamlike state and or a sleeping dreamlike state and a waking dreamlike state. Everyone, without hearing about Krishna, they are achaitanya, unconscious, even though apparently moving around in this world and performing many activities and having different plans. But everyone is just like it's like a collection of zombies. People who are moving and thinking and talking and walking, but they're unconscious of who they actually are, and dead while living, because although they're apparently living, they don't have the real life of Krishna consciousness, which is the life of unlimited bliss and transcendental knowledge. So it's like being dead while living. Even now the Olympic Games are going on, and people are running very fast and jumping very high and throwing various objects long distances and swimming fast. So it may seem that they're very much alive, but they're in a dream. That's all. It has no ultimate importance. So this is the aim of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, for its members themselves to cultivate hearing the spiritual sounds, which will wake them up, and to reverberate those sounds, or vibrate those sounds. Srila Prabhupada often used the word vibration. That was a popular word in hippieology, and Prabhupada used that term, as the hippies like that word, vibration, vibes. You know those words. They still use that word? Yeah, we do. Hey, good vibes, man. So those spiritual sounds, they're very powerful, and those who are receiving them can start to also distribute them. And the effect is that people become gradually awakened to Krishna consciousness. So not only hearing, also by all the senses, by tasting Krishna prasadam, which the devotees of Krishna are fully convinced by experience of the power of Krishna prasadam to change people's consciousness toward Krishna. Because you see it again and again, that Krishna prasadam changes the way people think. And some people, they refuse to take prasadam. That means they're also convinced of the power of Krishna prasadam. Because if they thought it was just like we often have the experience that people of the Islamic faith, they refuse to take. No, I cannot take. I'm a Muslim. That means they're also convinced of the power of Krishna prasadam. Because if they thought it was ordinary food, then what would be the problem to take it? But they're convinced that there's something different about this food. Now the effect, they think that effect is not very good, but they know it. Whatever it is powerful, so we cannot take it. So Krishna prasadam, that has its effect by seeing the devotees, seeing the form of Lord Jagannath. This also has the effect of, if people see devotees, they also become purified gradually. It may not be immediate. That's why it's important that devotees, as far as possible, if they appear as devotees, then that effect will be more pronounced. Because if a devotee is not dressed in a way that he's recognizable as a devotee, then people They'll still be benefited by seeing the devotee, but if they can recognize, oh, that's a Hare Krishna devotee, then they'll think of Krishna and be more purified. And of course the books of Srila Prabhupada, that is hearing in written form, it's an extension of the hearing process. But especially this hearing especially, Bhidyate Hridaya Grantis, Chidyante Sarva Sangshayaha. By hearing, that pierces the knot on the heart. That's another analogy given. One analogy is of waking up the sleeping man by sound. Srila Prabhupada often gave that analogy, that if someone is sleeping, he can be woken up by calling him. That's the standard way to wake up a sleeping person. Get up, time to get up, alarm clock. So there are other ways also. You could also shake someone. You could, within ISKCON we used to see all kinds of methods of getting people up for Mangalati, which we're not so merciful these days as to throw buckets of cold water on people in their sleeping bag and throw them down the stairs in their sleeping bag. I've seen all these things. I won't say the names, including ISKCON gurus. So, they weren't the ones in the sleeping bag, but they were the ones perpetrating the terrible activity. It was actually very merciful, but it's it requires a high standard of Krishna consciousness to appreciate that. So there are other methods, but this hearing method is very powerful. Hearing about Krishna. Then Vidyate Hridaya Grantish. It pierces the knot in the heart. The knot means we have so many material attachments in our heart. That means in our consciousness. We have so many material attachments and so many material desires and so many misconceptions which have been formed not only in this life but over millions and millions of lives, and they're all like different strings of desires, and they all come together, they all get completely tangled up. And how to open that knot? Well, Alexander the Great, he knew how to do it. There was you all know that anecdote which is told that there was a knot, a big tangle, and it was predicted that anyone who could open that knot would become the king of the world. So the young boy Alexander came with his sword and cut it. Anyone could have done it, but he had the intelligence to do it. Instead of trying, other people were coming and trying. The more with this kind of knot, the more you pull it, the more tangled it gets. You just cut it. That's all. That's the only way. If we try to sort out all these attachments and aversions and likes and dislikes and desires, there's no end to it. That's why psychology or anything, astrology or none of these methods. They may have some use, but they can't separate the spirit from matter. All these attachments and all these thoughts are extraneous to our actual situation. We take all this bundle of crazy thoughts and we think that's me. But then we get the spiritual sound. That's not you. We are spirit souls. We are servants of Krishna. All these problems we have, they don't exist. You say, well, you may say that, but the landlord's knocking on the door for where's the rent, or sending his, he's hired some people to come and persuade me to pay the rent. I don't know if they do that in this country, but in some countries they do. So, you know what I'm talking about. Gentle persuasion, the guy is taller than Arjuna and didn't pay the rent. So you may say, well, I don't have any problem. Well, yes, we do have problems. We do have problems. It's too cold, it's too wet, and it's London, and it's too polluted, and it's too miserable, and it's too this, and it's that, and everything else. But it's a problem, but it's not a real problem. It's a problem in the dream. And although, because this dream-like existence of our John Smith, or whatever our name is, life, is more extended, we have to deal with it to some extent, but at the same time we can understand that it's nothing really to do with me. That doesn't mean we become irresponsible. We have to deal with various problems that arise, but at the same time, that can be done in a spirit of detachment, knowing that it's not me. It's just my mind, my attachments, but I am the servant of Krishna. And if I serve Krishna within this life, then I'll have the opportunity to serve Krishna eternally. And we say, oh, that sounds terrible, service. What I thought when we went to heaven, I'm working, it's 52 weeks a year, I have 2 weeks holiday, and I thought I'd go to heaven and have 52 weeks holiday. And you say, I've got to serve God. Well, that sounds just like being in a factory or something. Okay, God's a nice guy, but serve him all the time. It's too much, the guy's too much. Maybe better in hell. At least you can enjoy yourself. You do what you like down there. In between getting whipped and burned, and there must be a tea break now and then. Maybe we could, bribe the jailers and get some crack or smack or something. Can't be that bad, but heaven, having to serve God, it's too much, the guy's got a big false ego. Who does he think he is anyway? But Krishna and serving him, it's not like that. Serving Krishna is blissful, because Krishna is all bliss. And although everyone serves him, but it's not like in this material world where you serve with someone and they exploit you. Whatever they pay you, they screw you to get as much as they can out of you, even if they pretend to be nice to you. What they're really interested in, some companies say, we care for our employees. They make some kind of pretense of caring for their employees. But their motive is profit. Everyone knows it. So they may look after their employees, but the idea is to, keep you in good form so that you can churn out the pounds, shillings and pence for us. Or just pounds nowadays, because pence don't have any meaning. But Krishna's not like that. Krishna is loving and kind and all bliss, and the devotees take tremendous bliss in serving Krishna. Just like now for the Janmashtami celebration, so many garlands are being made. The devotees are staying up all night and making garlands and decorating. But in the spiritual world, if we see the songs of Bhakti Thakur and Narottam Das, they're just praying for the opportunity. When will I get the opportunity to make a garland for Krishna? And they want to do that eternally, because it's not just a matter of understanding intellectually or philosophically, but they're experiencing that Bhakti Thakur is living in this world, apparently a magistrate, Kedarnath Datta, but actually he's living in the spiritual world. People see him they saw him as a magistrate, as a family man, as a very moral person, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was living in the spiritual world, and he was living with Krishna, and always desiring the opportunity. When will I get the chance to, he's praying for that, I'll get the chance to make a nice garland and then offer it to one of the gopis who will bring it to Radha and Krishna. That service, although it may seem, what's the big thing? Stringing a garland. But because Krishna loves flowers more than gold and jewels, he's very pleased if the devotees, out of love for him, grow flowers. That's the best way to make garlands. Of course, there's not that much opportunity in London. This may be, where does this flower come from? Probably it comes from Holland or somewhere. Who knows where?
Kenya.
From Kenya, is it? Yeah, a lot further away. But the real system, traditionally, people, they would grow flowers and offer them to Krishna. And that's just like people go to live in Vrindavan, and nowadays people go to live in Vrindavan and they build a big apartment block and it's advertised, all luxuries, AC and hot and cold water. You can see the advertisements and then cable TV and all this kind of thing. But previously people used to go and live in Vrindavan. They get a plot of land. They make in the corner, they make a little cottage that they could live in. They make nice garden with trees and all kinds of flowers. And they're just because they think, then I'll make a nice garden, and then this is Vrindavan, so it's Krishna's land, Radha's land, so they may be kind enough to come and dance in this garden, which I've made for their pleasure. And they grow the flowers very nicely, not thinking how we can make a profit and sell them. They don't have any smell, but they grow nice flowers and vegetables, and then all the time meditating on Krishna. And then pick the flowers, make a nice garden, offer it to their deities, in full bliss. I saw the flower from the beginning just budding. Now it's ready. All right, let's take it. Here's another one that's ready. And then string that and offer it to Radha and Krishna. Full bliss. And the vegetables, cultivating them. Now they're very nice. And then how we can offer it to Krishna. Krishna's very pleased. Krishna likes this. And just all the time thinking of Krishna's pleasure. Doing everything for Krishna. And then Krishna reciprocates with showers of bliss in the heart of the devotee. So the devotee is fully satisfied. It seems very simple, but it's completely profound. It's beyond even all philosophy and meditation, and the highest level of spiritual life is simply to live with Krishna and serve Krishna and be happy with Krishna. And devotees are blissful doing that. And how to understand it philosophically? Impossible. It's not a matter of just philosophy. Of course, we have Bhagavad Gita, and this provides the background for understanding Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and ourselves as all His servants. But those who are on the highest level of Krishna consciousness, they're simply satisfied to serve Krishna in what might seem a very simple or insignificant way. But just the hope which is fulfilled that Krishna will be happy, that is the desire of the pure devotee, and they experience that at every moment. So this Krishna conscious movement, as Srila Prabhupada wrote in one purport in the songbook, is for the purpose is so that people can join the pleasure dance of Krishna, the Rasa Leela in Vrindavan. That's the point. So people are unconscious, living such unfortunate lives. They cannot imagine the pleasure that a devotee gets from stringing a garland and offering it to Krishna and praying, Krishna, please be satisfied, please take this garland. They have no idea. So this Krishna conscious movement is meant to waken people to that consciousness of Krishna by different means. It may be by distributing prasadam and festivals, distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, engaging in philosophical discussions. In so many ways, everything is meant for that, and we're very fortunate to have this opportunity to engage in this, because we can become fully perfect in Krishna consciousness, even in this lifetime. And we've seen many devotees who came to the shelter of Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet and served Krishna throughout this life. And during their lifetime, people may have said that, well, he's this, he's that, he's this, and then he has something else. But then you see at the end how generally for devotees who are serving Krishna throughout their lives, or even some who just serve for some time and then forget Krishna, and then when they realize that they're told, the doctor says, well, you've got 3 weeks to live, and they suddenly think, oh, Krishna, I have to think about Krishna again. And we see that often that comes. Often devotees ask that, well, it seems I'm not making any advancement, but we often see devotees get a whole flood of mercy at the end of life, and then they pass away with devotees chanting in kirtan, and then there's no doubt where they're going if you pass away with the devotees chanting and pictures of Krishna and devotees encouraging you. There are many, many cases of this. So, as long as we're in this world, well, it is miserable, and not just in theory. It's not just a dream; it's a bad dream. And it doesn't get any better. The material world is, it's an ongoing recurring nightmare. That's all. And trying to be Krishna conscious can be difficult, as we've probably all experienced. We're trying to be Krishna conscious, and at the same time, may see so many struggles and difficulties, but we just have to remember that if we go on serving Krishna, despite all the difficulties, actually those difficulties will become our assets. Prabhupada said that. He told Tamal Krishna Maharaj once, he said that, I've had so many difficulties in my life, but now those difficulties have become my assets. And actually it's a fact that Krishna very much appreciates if devotees take all kinds of difficulties to serve him. And we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's all narrations of devotees who in very difficult circumstances remained faithful to Krishna. Isn't it? Prahlad Maharaj was harassed by his father, tried to kill him in so many ways by putting him trampling with elephants and giving him poisoned food and throwing him off a cliff and harassing him in so many ways, sending him to school. What a horrible thing to do. And then, Dhruva Maharaj was rejected by his father, which might not seem like such a bad thing, but for him it was the worst thing in the world, worst thing imaginable. Ambarish Maharaj was attacked by a terrible demon. So there's Chitraketu had to get the body of a demon. So in so many ways, devotees, they go through so many difficulties. But those because they stick to Krishna throughout those difficulties, and the result is that Krishna, he's very pleased that yes, you're my real devotee. We're very high, and Krishna becomes very satisfied. So please don't be discouraged. I'm sure anyone who's tried to serve Krishna in difficult circumstances, everyone can appreciate how if we keep on with it, then Krishna really reciprocates. So be sure that, of course we don't deliberately look for difficulties, but they come of their own accord. But if we stick to this path of Krishna consciousness, going on hearing and chanting about Krishna and trying to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission, that Srila Prabhupada will be pleased, Krishna will be pleased, and they will bless us with the highest gift of the opportunity of eternal service to Krishna in the spiritual world. There's no doubt, we shouldn't doubt this. So please keep on going and chant Hare Krishna, and we're all in this together. So, we'll have a good party in the spiritual world also. Harinam party. Hare Krishna, all glories to all of your service. Any questions, comments? Please. Yes.
Yeah, what if, you talk about atheists who don't believe in God?
Did I mention this time?
No, you didn't.
All right.
Devotees.
Atheists, means people who don't believe in God.
What if you believe Krishna exists?
Yeah.
You believe in Krishna.
Yeah.
You believe he's very powerful. But yet you have niggling doubts.
We have niggling doubts.
Whether he's actually God.
Whether he's actually God.
You don't doubt that he exists.
We believe that Krishna exists, but we're not sure that he's God.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean by God? I mean, many people, they're atheists. And sometimes people say to me, I'm an atheist. I ask them, which God don't you believe in? I probably don't believe in that God either. The idea of the God who's sitting on a cloud with a long beard and looking over and throwing people into hell, well, Krishna's not that God. I don't believe in that God either. I'm not an atheist. Well, therefore, we have Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which gives descriptions of what is the actual nature of God. What is the meaning of God? In the dictionary, there's the word the Supreme Being, which is a very general description. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, they're unique among scriptures in the world in as much as they give detailed definitions of the nature of God. For instance, one of the most famous descriptions is that Aishvaryasya Samargasya Viryasya Yashasya Shriyaha Jnana Vairagya Yoschaiva Shannang Bhaga Itingana. Who possesses all opulence, all power, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge and all renunciation is Bhagavan. One of the terms for God in Sanskrit is Bhagavan. So who has all these qualities in full is Bhagavan. Then we have also the description Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadi Radhi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam, which means who is the supreme controller, whose form, he's not just an impersonal force, he is a person, but his form is not like ours, made of flesh and blood, but it's eternal. It's full of bliss and knowledge. It's constituted of bliss and knowledge. Who is the origin of everything, but of whom there is no origin. Who gives life and pleasure to our senses. Who is the cause of all causes. So like this, there are many descriptions of the qualities of Bhagavan. The first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, Janmadhyasya yataha, by whom everything in the material world is manifested, maintained and ultimately destroyed. Who is directly and indirectly conscious of everything. So like this, if we say God, it's a very vague term. But the description of Bhagavan or Parameshwar, the supreme controller, in the Vedic literatures is actually much more comprehensive. So Krishna fits that description. Just like the police might be, here's an example, the police might be looking for someone. The person is, the description of a suspect for a crime. He's 40 years old, approximately, has a scar on the left cheek, brown hair, white skin, like that. So, and then you find someone, they fit the description, that's the person. So, in the same way, the description of God is who is full of all opulences, power, knowledge, renunciation, the source of everything. So, according to all the scriptures and all the self-realized persons, Krishna fits the bill. So, why should we doubt? Someone has to be God.
I was just saying, because there's periods where I go through, I have absolute conviction.
Yeah.
He's a supreme personality, and there's periods where my whole faith starts to wane. I have no doubt that Krishna,
Yeah.
He gives blessings and everything.
Yeah.
I chant and I, dance for the deities and everything. But
Doubts attack sometimes. Yeah.
I go through periods where one minute I think I've grasped it, I think absolute faith, and the next minute I think, I just don't have that feeling. I don't stop chanting or anything like that. I still believe in Krishna, but as in the Supreme Personality, it keeps waning, coming back, waning, and I just don't know what to do about it.
Well, for me, it's a very logical thing. If such a doubt comes, it's just like that. Well, definitely there must be a supreme controller, and there's absolutely nothing to compare to the description of Krishna. I mean, there are some people say Allah or Jehovah or Jesus. Well, that's a mistake, actually, to say that Jesus is God. He's a representative of God. But the description of Krishna fits so perfectly, then why should we doubt it? If great self-realized persons like Vyas, Madhva, Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, they all accept Krishna as supreme, then why should we doubt? It's not. This is my logical way of convincing myself, and there's no need to go through a heavy philosophical process. It's a simple point to understand. Actually, someone's got to be the supreme. We don't find any better description than that of Krishna, so we can accept Krishna. And the fact that you have achieved a level of experience in chanting Hare Krishna which you've never got anywhere else suggests that there's something real there, isn't it? And then so there may be ups and downs, but then you can realize that the downs are just Maya attacking.
Well, I'm trying to think, is it Krishna testing me?
Yes, yes.
Periods where I think, oh my God, what if it's the wrong God? What if I pass away and then I go up and I'm waiting to be judged or whatever?
And you get thrown into hell forever. That's what I used to think.
And it happens to be a Catholic priest standing there, and I think, oh my God.
That's what I used to think. In Ireland there's the Catholics and the Protestants. My mother was an Irish Catholic, and on one side of the road they say, well, if you don't believe in the Virgin Mary, you go to hell forever. And the other side of the road they say, if you do believe in the Virgin Mary, then you go to hell forever. So I was thinking what to do. I'll stand in the middle of the road, and when God comes on his chariot, I'll see which side he's going to land on and run on that side. But then, it's just fanaticism. It's meaningless. If we sin anyway, even if you have doubts, the fact is that if we sincerely try to serve God and pray to him that you please reveal yourself to me, he will do. God isn't locked up in the church or anywhere else. He can freely bestow his mercy wherever he wants to. Yes, please.
Yeah, another realized person was Einstein. And
he was matter realized, you could say, not spirit realized.
I've been reading a book about him, and it says that he didn't believe in God in a conventional sense. He believed God as representing nature.
That's what I mean. He's matter realized.
He said that this kind of idea that if you pray to God, you have your wishes realized. It's a primitive, childish, erotic superstition. He talks in God in terms of representing a grand, hidden mathematical order to the universe.
Yeah, but that's what I say. He's matter realized, but he doesn't realize the transcendental nature of God.
Well, actually, he was. I mean, he was looking for a grand unification theory. He got close to doing it.
He didn't find the grand unification theory as Krishna.
Well, nobody has. But it's
No, why nobody? You don't. Einstein didn't, but why do you say nobody?
Well, nobody has.
No, how do you know nobody?
Nobody is perfect.
How do you know no one's perfect?
Well, it's self-evident.
Why? I don't agree with that. It's self-evident to you.
Well, we'll die, we'll disappear one day.
That's not necessarily, that's what you define as imperfection.
Yes, and
That's according to your definition.
finite beings.
Why? We are finite beings, but that doesn't mean we can't have knowledge and realization of the Supreme Perfect. Otherwise, what was Einstein doing? He was searching for it, but he didn't find it. And we're saying that you can find that is Krishna.
He wasn't daft, was he? I mean, let's agree on that.
He wasn't materially unintelligent, but he wasn't fully realized. He had a lot of realizations, but he didn't know what is the ultimate truth.
He's one of the greatest intellects of all time.
That's true, but by the intellect alone you can't understand the soul. That's the point he missed.
I mean, I agree with him in a lot of what he said. I mean,
Well, I don't understand a lot of what he said, to be quite true, because his...
unless you have doubt, you will never realise the truth.
Yeah, but the doubt should be resolved. Otherwise, you're never on the platform of truth.
I just think if you feel you know the absolute truth, it's arrogance, isn't it? Which is delusion.
No, why? Why? If you're seeking the truth, there should come a point that you find it. Otherwise, there is no truth. If it's unattainable, then what are you looking for? Then you're like a dog chasing its tail. It's a useless search.
Maybe you die wondering.
Maybe you do, but it doesn't mean that everybody does. If there is truth, then it should be attainable.
How do you know that's not delusional, though? What you're saying?
How do I know it's not delusion? Well, we'll all find out at the time of death. But I have faith. It's all a matter of faith. You have faith that, in your theory, that no one's perfect.
I have faith in the Vedanta.
You have... what do you know about Vedanta, by the way?
You need to study it.
What's the first sutra of Vedanta? Sutra.
Well, you tell me.
No, you tell me. You say you have faith in Vedanta. You say you have faith in Vedanta. Let's see what you know about it. No, you're wrong. Absolutely wrong. You don't know. Vyasadeva compiled the Vedanta Sutra. Shankaracharya commented on it. He gave one of the first commentaries on it. So, I mean, you don't know what you're talking about. If you don't mind, sir, you don't know what you're talking about. You say that you're a student of Vedanta, but you don't even know who wrote it. So, you're saying I'm arrogant, but who's arrogant here?
I'm more looking at mathematical aspects of it.
Mathematical aspects of Vedanta. Anyway, Shankaracharya, by the way, praised Krishna. Do you know that? You don't know that? Shankaracharya praised Krishna. Vyasadev's praised Krishna. And all the great self-realized persons in the Vedanta tradition praise Krishna as the supreme truth. Vyasadeva, who compiled the Vedanta Sutra, gave his own commentary called the Srimad Bhagavatam, in which he defines Krishna as the supreme truth, for your information. Within this book, Bhagavad Gita, which is also compiled by Vyasadeva, who you may have never heard of, he states, Vedanta Krit Veda Vedeva Chaham. He quotes Krishna as saying that I am the compiler of the Vedanta and I am the knower of the Vedanta. So there's Vedanta for you, in a nutshell. But you would like to be a seeker of the truth without ever finding it. If you want, it's here. In here, Krishna states the essence of all the Vedas. It's quite simple, actually.
Talk about the relationship between 0 and 1.
Yes. Everything without Krishna is 0, and Krishna is the one that makes everything perfect. So, Hare Krishna. Anything else, please? Yes.
Hare Krishna. Can you tell us a little bit about Rancho Rai?
Can I tell you a little bit about Rancho Rai? A little bit?
Or as much as you like.
Where's that book, Pilgrimage in India? Where's a copy? There's an article written by my lowly self.
I read that. Yeah.
About Dakor, and the importance of Dakor is Rancho Rai. So Rancho, who relinquished the battle, he left the battle. So this sounds like a coward, doesn't it? He left the battle. Krishna is one of the wonderful qualities of Krishna is that all contradictions are resolved in him. That's called Viruddha Dharma. Means all contradictory qualities are resolved in him. He is the most powerful and the shelter of everyone, yet he leaves a battle. And generally one who leaves a battle is called a coward, but he's worshipped for that. Krishna is a thief. He's worshipped as a thief. Krishna is sometimes criticized for some as being a liar, yet his words constitute, he apparently was a liar or induced others to lie, yet supreme morality is to understand Krishna. Krishna is smaller than anything. If we try to get the 1/1000th of an angstrom, Krishna is still smaller than that. And the whole universe is within Krishna. So he's within everything, and everything's within him. All impossibilities are resolved in Krishna. That's why Einstein can never find him, because you can't find him simply by logic. You can go so far, but you can't find the ultimate principle behind everything, because the ultimate principle of everything is not constrained by material laws. He's beyond the very nature of the supreme absolute principle is that he's beyond the material laws. So by studying the material laws, we can't find him. We have to hear about him.
Neither could Einstein.
No, Einstein. He couldn't find him. He was a truth seeker, but he only got so far. And although in the material sphere, no doubt he got further than any of us could ever do, even if we tried, and his theories are such that, everyone knows E equals mc squared, but hardly anyone understands. And he had difficulties talking with anyone because there were very few people who could understand what he was talking about. So, because he was perceiving matter in an abstract way, at a subtle level, when most people just perceive it. Here's a piece of bread, stick it in my mouth, and pass it out the next morning. And most people, their perception of matter doesn't go much further than that. But Einstein was at a very subtle level, but on the level of matter. But what he didn't realize, which I say is matter realized and not spirit realized, is that he didn't realize that there is a whole or dimension beyond. Of course, he talked about different dimensions, but there's another even type of dimension beyond what he could conceive of. The spiritual dimension, which means everything in this material world is temporary and limited, but the spiritual is eternal and unlimited. And it doesn't operate by the very meaning of spiritual is that it doesn't operate according to mundane laws. And therefore, by studying the nature of the universe, we can't find the spiritual, because the spiritual operates according to a completely different way altogether. So don't mind, sir. I'm a fan of Einstein. We don't hate you by any means, but when we are discussing the truth and how to attain it, these are very serious matters, and it's not just a matter of saying I think this, that, and the other. And if we are to say we're a student of Vedanta, the whole tradition is such a serious tradition. And to say, you don't know what it means to be a student of Vedanta. What it means to be a student of Vedanta, one has to become a disciple and become submissive to a guru and hear from a guru and accept austerities. It's not. It means the end of knowledge, and it also means the conclusion of the Vedas. Veda means knowledge, but it also means a body of literature, which in English language is classified as a scripture, although it doesn't really correspond to the Judaic or Abrahamic tradition scriptures. It's a vast body of knowledge, and Vedanta means spiritual knowledge, and Vyasadev's own commentary on Vedanta Sutra establishes that the ultimate principle of spiritual knowledge is to know Krishna.
This is part of the Vedanta, not all of it.
No, that is Vedanta, sir. According to Vyasadeva. Well, it's like, Vyasadeva, he's giving Vedanta, and he's telling what is Vedanta, so how can you know better than Vyasadeva? It's like saying that Einstein said E equals mc cubed or something. You don't know what he says, and then you misquote him. All right, Hare Krishna. So Should we have some kirtan? Okay. You want to announce that? That's the unifying principle, prasadam. It's the ultimate unifying principle. Bring all the atheists, doubters, committed, anti-Krishna conscious people and give them prasadam. People may not believe in this philosophy, but it's not so difficult to accept prasadam. Yeah, so please. No, I'm saving my voice, which tends to get lost. So I'm saving it for speaking. You probably know all about lost voices, right?
The full weekend anyway.